Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode.
If you should awaken, I will be there when you wake from your lovely
Thank you. Today, we have reached the middle point of our journey here as far as the book is concerned, after which we will get serious about the business at hand, the spirituality thing. What I am trying to do here is teach everyone how to connect with their spirit. There is nothing in the world that is more important for you to do. Once you are able to do that, the word miracle will no longer exist for you, because things like miracles will be happening all the time. When you have connected with your spirit and develop a relationship where you are certain it's there and you know that you can't live without it, really, and you begin to understand that that spiritual part of you is connected to God. I'm not talking about the biblical gods. I'm talking about to the creator of the universe. The creator of the universe is what we're here for, is who I am trying to get everybody to understand and recognize the difference between the two. You have, like I said, the biblical gods that were written about, who were inspired and whatever. They created mankind. We have the whole story here. But they weren't supposed to create mankind. They weren't supposed to create anything that God creates, because the natural tendency would be for them to act like they were gods. And that's exactly what they did. So society has gotten so bad that I felt that I needed to do something very serious, to do the most that I possibly can before I'm out of here. Something that will last. And so that's when I felt that I needed to share this kind of information. And matter of fact, it wasn't even my idea. It was my spirit's idea. The advantages you will have once you're able to do this are basically you will be able to accomplish anything that your spirit wants you to accomplish. So you have to understand, your spirit knows what's good for you more than you do. Don't ask your spirit for $1 million, because your spirit is going to already know what's going to happen to you. If you just happen upon $1 million and don't have the kind of mindset to know what to do with it or how to keep it, you're going to end up getting in trouble with it. It's going to be the worst nightmare you've ever had. So you see, it's very important for you to not only connect with your spirit, but let your spirit guide the way. Your spirit knows what's better for you than you do. I needed a new car a few months ago, and I was driving through Beverly Hills, and I was trying to decide what kind of car I wanted, and I saw a Jaguar, and I said, you know what, those Jags are kind of cool, and my cousin Alvin had one when I was a teenager. Man, that sure would be cool. Okay, so now I have a Jaguar. It just happens, and and it's not even a miracle, like I said, because every day something happens that appears to be miraculous. But actually, all it is just the Spirit doing what it always does. You just haven't noticed it. You haven't noticed it because you've been calling it something else. You call it your conscience, you call it angels, you call it everything except for what it really is. Once you start understanding what it is and its purpose. This is the purpose of your spirit. The purpose of your spirit is to make itself more powerful. The only way your spirit can make itself more powerful is by being a part of you. You are its avatar. You are its representative. You are here to go through some hard things so that your spirit can benefit from it. Your avatar is not going to matter. It's going to exist for 60, 70, 80 years, and it's going to die. It's gone forever, but it will select a new one. And then it will create circumstances in your life, obstacles in your life to edify it. It's not to edify you. This whole thing, this whole existence is not about you. It's not about you. I know you think it is. The motivational speaker, Les Brown, I think it is. I watch him talk. He is great. He is phenomenal at what he does in his motivational speaking. However, I know he's missing the point because he's too busy instructing people to ask whatever they want. Whatever you want, you can go get it like this. Have the determination, have the energy. No. It's really not about you. It's not about you. It's not about you or what you want. You probably don't even know what's best for you. What it is I wish I could talk to him one day, and I'm sure I could convince him that if you follow your spirit, then not only will you be doing what you came here for, but you will be doing the right thing as long as you have a good spirit. Now, if you have a bad one, you ought to know what that's like. If your spirit is doing obnoxious and bad things, well, you know what that is too. The ability that your spirit has, it has the ability to affect machinery. It has ability to affect not weather, but it will affect how you may prepare for weather. For instance, it will tell you grab a jacket before you leave the house. Women, if you're having a problem with a man, trust me, it will get rid of your man for you. All you gotta do is say, Spirit, get this fool out of here. And before you know it, next thing you know, he just popped up with all kinds of excuses. Baby, I gotta go. Trust me on this. Anything that is positive for your life, and your spirit agrees that it's positive for your life, it will have it for you. But understand, spirits are not about wealth. What would an omnipotent, well, no, I wouldn't say omnipotent, but a spirit that lives forever need with a whole lot of wealth? It might need a whole lot of wealth in a few existence so it can see how that feels and see how it is. But you have to understand, the more wealth that you have, the more your spirit will suffer by seeing the suffering of people that don't have a lot. I don't think I could ever be wealthy because I just give money away. I can't. I make sure that I keep less than $20 in my pocket, because if I see somebody and they seem sincere and they ask me for some money, I'm going to give it to them. The reason I'm going to give it to them is because I know I'm going to get it right back. I'm going to get it back because my spirit is, I trust my spirit. I've given it permission. I've given it license to lead me where it wants to go. Now, let's talk about some chapters here because, like I said, we're in the middle part of the book. We're We're in the part of the book where we are now in Egypt with human beings. We're past the Cro-Magnons and the Druks and the Yaks and the thing about all of this creation thing, which you see, we share the same DNA, 98% DNA with chimpanzees. Now, why do chimpanzees still look like chimpanzees after millions of years? Well, because evolution in nature takes time. It takes forever, really. Mankind's evolution was sped up at every little angle by the Elohims of the book of Genesis. That's why we are so flawed. That's why we are so wishy-washy and all over the place, because we were not created naturally. We were not created by the Creator. Our spirit was. So we have conflicts between what our spirit wants and what our brain wants. Our brain was not constructed in a natural way, because if it had been, we would be as natural as all the other creatures on the planet. You don't see trees fighting against each other, although the trees are alive. You might see animals doing it, but because animals are evolving too. Somebody told me, Curt, if reincarnation is true, how come there's almost 9 billion people in the world, whereas when we were young there was only 3? Well, that's because what spirits do is once they edify, they become more powerful. Their vibrant rate goes up. So some things that weren't quite human on a human level are vibrating like a human level before, like, for instance, a horse, for instance. Horses are not so bad. They're not so far behind us. Well, I wonder about that. Anything that lets you ride on its back, oh, they must not have a very... But anyway, that spirit will grow within that creature. That spirit that is using that as an avatar is trying to elevate until it vibrates at the point of a humanoid. So that's why there are more people now, is because more spirits are elevating. It's getting a little crowded. So let's get into this next chapter. Chapter number 38. It's called the Demigods. The demigods are the first relatives of the gods. The gods are actually the Elohims of the book of Genesis. Their offspring. The demigods are the first offspring of the Elohims that consist of purely terrestrial material from earth. That's why the Anunnaki, the gods, could not stay here. They could not stay here because they were made out of elements that weren't from here. If they stayed here too long, they would die. If they go back to where they was, they would live for 450,000 years. Here, they could not. They left Marduk. Marduk is still here. Marduk stayed here. They said that Alexander the Great has the bones of Marduk. But anyway, let's get into this chapter, the demigods.
Chapter 38, the Demigods.
Now came the time for the new gods. The new gods were the first gods that were created from terrestrial materials. The offspring of the gods with partial or lesser divine status, Osiris and Isis, would be the first. Osiris was the eldest son of Geb and Nut and brother of both Set, Nephthys, Isis and Horus the elder, who lived in the earliest dynasties of Egypt. He and brother Set or Seth were born during the evolutionary period of the Homo sapiens Neanderthalensis. Their sister Isis was the first Homo sapiens sapien, as her appearance of the brow separation and modern forehead became the model of completion of said evolution. At a time, Isis was considered a freak of nature because of the vast difference in her appearance. Prior to recent discoveries, it was thought that human evolution developed over a period of approximately 6 million years. This figure was based upon evolutionary progressions in nature. However, this progression did not take into consideration the genealogical expertise of the beings responsible for the entire unnatural manipulation of the entire event. Instead of millions of years, the progression moved rapidly over a period of a few thousand years, with links missing in betwixt. Set, or Seth, was the very ambitious younger brother with strong desires of divinity. As the younger brother, Set was determined to rule Egypt, but in order to do so he would need to find some way to diminish the admiration of his sister Isis from the elder Osiris. A union between Isis and Osiris would ensure the couple the throne of Egypt. Set knew that the only way to ensure him the throne was to somehow end the life of Osiris. From the time Set was old enough to understand the complexities of systems of hierarchy, he began to seek a more physical approach to the matter than the mental approach taken by Big Brother Osiris. Set was a fighter. Set felt that he was born to fight as he embarked on a regiment of training like no other his age in the history of Egypt. Isis and Osiris were groomed for royalty by no other than Thoth himself because of his personal interest in Isis. Set was groomed by warriors in every manner of combat that he could find tutelage in. Osiris the wise leader, Seth the barbaric leader. If there were swords to be swung, Seth learned to swing them. If there was about to be drawn, Seth was to draw it. Osiris succeeded in Thoth's mathematics, especially geometry, writing and philosophies, as he eagerly fought to maintain the level of intellect that was innately a characteristic of their genius sister Isis. From the beginning, Osiris and Isis seemed to be the perfect pair, while Seth and younger sister Nephthys seemed to pair equally. They were all four part of the Ennead of Heliopolis, the family of 9 deities descended from the creator gods, Adam or Ra, or as we know him to be the Anunnaki, and Lil, son of Anu and brother of Anki. One of these brothers would become ruler of Egypt, while the firstborn son of the two would become the first Homo sapiens sapien to share the throne along with the Anunnaki Marduk, son of Adam or Ra. By this time the Anunnaki had put in place what would be known as telomeres, a compound structure at the end of a chromosome. These telomeres would enable the Anunnaki to control the lifespan of the humanoid primate hybrids depending on their placement on the strands of DNA. The need for shorter lives were important to the Anunnaki because there would be no more Anunnaki arrivals until perhaps near the year 18,020 AD, when the planet Nibiru nears its proximity yet again to the planet Earth, unless of course they find more rapid means of space travel. The Bible says no one knows when the gods will return, they only know that someday they will. I respectfully disagree. In the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, Thoth recommends that we recover the vessels that he left here in the locations that he described in the text. We can then master the technology and we will easily combat the gods just in case they plan to cause other events equal or just as destructive as the flood event in the Ark of Noah. The beings from Nibiru understand that the evolutionary elements of Earthlings are parallel to that of Anunnaki with one vast difference. It is the anatomical clock within beings from places with different metabolic rates. The Anunnaki are a very advanced race. However, their advancements have been made over great periods of time. We shall call this time sequential relativity. For example, every 10 minutes to an Earthling is 1 minute to an Anunnaki. Every 600 minutes is but 1 hour to them. It is not that the Anunnaki think slower, it is just that much can be accomplished in the period of 600 Earth minutes. Earthlings accomplish much more in a time frame, and die much sooner. Thus was the circumstance in the case of the flood. The rapid development of the species was far too great for the Anunnaki to adapt. While they were sleeping, humanoids were evolving. Thus a reboot became the necessary order. If they come back to Earth in 18,000 years, we will have developed 18,000 years. 18,000 for us will be like 5 years to them. They will have gone but a few seasons. We will have gone many generations. It is amazing to consider that the longer we survive as a species, the closer we will come to the evolutionary equivalent of our creator gods.
Subscribe and push the like button.
Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that. Now, this next chapter, this is where things get very dramatic. The problem is you have Osiris, who is still kind of a Neanderthal. He's not quite human, because as you know, Isis is the first Homo sapiens sapien because of her relationship with Hermes, or Thoth. It was his DNA that caused her the eyebrow separation and to become the first Homo sapiens sapien. But Osiris, Set, and Nephthys are still Neanderthal. That's why I put the mask on them, because we really don't know what their face looked like. And so Set, the brother, was very jealous of his older brother Osiris because of his relationship with Isis. If Isis and Osiris get together and are married, that means Isis and Osiris will be the first humanoid kings and queen of this whole planet. Set did not want to be anything less than the king. So he had to get rid of Osiris in order to marry his older sister Isis, and he could be king. Now, one might ask, how would I know that these kinds of things were taking place in Egypt? When I showed you all the listings of books that I had to read and register and study, I call them manuscripts. Well, you know they're not manuscripts, they're not made for movie, but they were books. There are cross notes within all of them. You know, if you listen to stories about Krishna and you find out things about their past, and you're able to cross-reference a lot of these things. I just happen to know that Hermes was a very humble person. Even though he was a part of creating mankind, he was actually quite humble, and he wasn't a fighter for no stretch of the imagination, although he used to try to play like he was tough. So Set was a fighter. Osiris wasn't a fighter either. He was a lover. So anyway, when I talk about spirituality, what I'm trying to say also is that your spirit can find out anything it wants you to know. When I was writing this story, I could literally see inside, in my vision, in a hologram, exactly what was going on in Egypt at the time and period where I'm writing. The reason I'm able to do that is because your spirit lives in the past, present, and the future. This whole concept is beyond imagination. It's basically like seeing everything in a cube. So if I ask my spirit to go find out what they were doing at this particular time, and you have a connection with your spirit, it will be very easy for your spirit to let you know this is what they were doing. This is how it was then. That's how remote viewers work. I talked about remote viewers in a past episode. Well, I found a new word. I heard it the other day, and when I first heard the word, I knew it fit me perfectly. The word was a contrarian. I knew when I heard it that that's me. I am a contrarian, meaning I'm going to be different. I'm going to probably disagree with everything. I don't believe in life after death, for instance, because like I said, your spirit lives forever. So there's no such thing as death. You can't have life after something that doesn't happen. I don't believe that humans have out-of-body experiences. I believe that we are in a temporary in-a-body experience. I don't believe in astral projection, where, like I said, where your spirit leaves. I believe the temporary one is when you're connected. Like I said, I'm a contrarian. And that's because in order for us to evolve spiritually, we have to take things to another level. If we can't take them to this level, if we stay with the status quo, parents, I criticize parents because I know how my parents were. My parents are the kind of parents that did not want to see me do anything further than what they had done. My sisters, yes. They would allow my sisters. They would want my sisters to excel, but not me. Don't let me try to do something unique or special, because my parents would have a fit. Like it'd be more like, who do you think you are? You know, so, and a lot of parents are like that, especially when it comes to religion and things. They want you to believe what they believed. Well, just look around you, people. What they believed, not only is it not working as well as it should, it could work better. It's a situation where they are teaching us to stay locked in to the biblical gods that have a choice for you. Either you abide by what they say or you go to hell. The problem with the whole hell thing is when you're talking about the creator of the universe, it's not a personality, an individual personal thing. It's a thing that encompasses the whole wide universe. It is a part of everything, which also meant if he created a hell, the creator is also in hell. If he is in you and you go to hell, well, guess what? The creator wants to go to hell with you. And it's just a crazy notion. The only thing that could transform that notion and make any kind of sense of it is if we recognize the biblical gods are not the same thing as the creator of the universe that is a part of everything. I want to thank you guys for coming today, and we're going to be moving along rather quickly because the chapter's coming up. Like I said, we're in Egypt now, and if you want to know how life works in heaven, then Egypt is actually an image of heaven. Please subscribe. Thank you for everybody that's here coming. We have like, instead of 20, 30 people, we have 60 now. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
I'll be there when you wake from your love. Your
Subscribe and click the like button.
Hello, my love. How were your dreams? And if maybe you dreamt of me, like every night, I hold my pillow tight and I think of you.
Subscribe